Hi guys, welcome back to hammerjoys.net. I'm going to show you quite a clever app today to do with Latitude. I've noticed last week, I use Latitude a lot, I've got quite a few people on there. It's actually really useful for just seeing where people are, meeting up, or just knowing if someone's at home, or all sorts of things. But it does chew through battery. Every half an hour it's updating Google servers with your phone's location. I don't think there's so much knowing where your phone is takes much, but I think the updating bit does. Generally your phone does know where it is just because of cell tower. I don't know if you've got GPS turned off or Wi-Fi off, or that's how, if you have a weather app on your screen, it knows where you are because it knows which phone cells it's connected to. So my thought was, well, I don't necessarily want it updating every half an hour, or if I'm not going anywhere, why does it keep updating? Yeah, Andy's still here, he's still here. So I did a bit of a search in the marketplace, and the only thing really that popped up was, well, there was a couple of things, but the only one that looked half interesting was Latify. And Latify does exactly what I was just explaining. Well, let's go straight into showing you. Through profiles. So I set up a variety, well, I don't set them up, they're already there I suppose: driving, homework, or travelling. So you've got 3 different profiles. They are predefined, you can't change them or their icons or anything like that at this point. I don't know if the developer has any plans to do that. Personally, I don't think you need more. You've got 3 different sort of scenarios that cover things quite well. So homework, that's your homework, home and work. That's your slowest updating one generally. So what I've done, I've left it at 30 minutes to check every 30 minutes where I am. But if I haven't travelled 500 meters, it doesn't bother updating anything. So next option, fall back when GPS disabled. So in other words, if I've not got GPS on, does it want to use Wi-Fi and 3G to locate me? Well, yeah, of course it does. Use only Wi-Fi 3G for location updates, so you can force it to use only Wi-Fi and 3G. And then the same again, if GPS is on but doesn't get a location, does it want to use Wi-Fi 3G? Yes please. Now this one's quite useful as well, Latitude sync. For me it's always, but you can switch, if you switch it to Wi-Fi only, and that will normally be, let's just want to switch over, to the travelling, sorry, I moved to the travelling profile, that's on Wi-Fi only. I'm going to go back to the, so basically what that would do, if you were, if you're travelling in another country or whatever, you don't want to be using your expensive data connection to keep a track of where you've been. So what you can have it do is, you spend your day travelling around wherever, it still does its polling, it still does its checking where you are, and then when you come to Wi-Fi, it uploads all the information to the Latitude servers. On the one hand, well, that's not what I use Latitude for, because no one can see where I am until I get back, and it'll upload it all in one go, and they'll just then see that I'm at the hotel. But on the other hand, if you use it, if you are using it to keep a track of where you've been and what you're doing, and as like a record, then it saves on your data connection. The final option here, location republish interval. So let's say I'm at work and I've not moved the 500 meters for a couple of hours. Latitude can set you as being stale, and you'll sort of drop off your friend's maps. So what you can do is location republish, and you can change that to pretty much any time, but up to 12 hours, which is plenty enough, I would have thought. So when it gets to that point, it's just going to push your location regardless where you are. If I think about it, let's change that a little bit longer. I'm not entirely sure when it says someone's stale. I think it's somewhere around 3 or 4 hours. So the location polling interval, you can have it right up to 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. So you can have it like really almost real time, or you can push it right the way back to 12 hours. And the distance, 5, 10, 20 meters. So if you've got GPS on, it might be that accurate. It goes right up to 1 kilometre. So I leave mine on 500 meters for my homework one. So that gives me enough, because if you're using cell towers, your location can bounce around a little bit when it just connects to a different cell tower. So I set it to 500 meters to hopefully, even when I'm bouncing around, I stay within 500 meters and it doesn't bother updating. Driving is your hardcore real time. So every 30 seconds, disable distance. There you go. That's all the settings for that one. So, depending which one you have selected, is how frequently it updates. Well, I mean, I can't really tell you how much battery it does save because everybody's devices are very different. But I did notice my battery lasting longer when I use this and had Latitude turned off. When you use Latitude, almost always Maps shows up in your battery use list. It doesn't in this instance. Latify doesn't show up either, but then to be honest, hardly ever do third-party apps really show up. I don't trust that. What I do trust a bit more is something that shows you kind of wake clocks and stuff like that, tells you how much it keeps your phone awake, and Latify was well down on the list, really down near the bottom, behind a lot of other stuff, so it really doesn't take much power at all. Now, one thing I did yesterday, went on a bit of a ride around central London. Let me see, what times do I need? And I thought, okay, let me set this up as the real-time updating version, so it would follow me. There was a bunch of us, a group of us, all went for a ride, a midnight ride around London, and very beautiful it was too. So what it's now doing, it's taking all the data down from the actual Latitude servers, I believe. There we go, we started at Regent's Park, and if I press the play button, and you can see, oh, I probably started a bit early because we didn't get moving until about 10 to, whoop, I've jumped ahead, there we go, 10 to, whoa. Oh, well, I jumped ahead to the first stop off, which was, what was it? Can't remember. Anyway, so there we go. Now we see we're heading off down through South Kensington. That's the bounce that I'm talking about when I use it. I did have GPS on, but I guess every now and then perhaps the GPS. So no, because it shouldn't have the fallback. There you go. What's that about? It shouldn't have the fallback if GPS isn't detected, but maybe the GPS was just a bit dodgy. Anyway, so yeah, it does use Latitude servers. One thing I learned was, if you go into Google Maps and Latitude and you turn things off, it does disable them in Latify. So I think at one point I said, okay, well, I don't want Latitude to be updating my thing because Latify will. So I said in Latitude, right, don't update my position. And it stopped Latify from actually using the service. Beforehand I had turned off do not store history, do not store history of my position. And I couldn't get all this stuff because it wouldn't store. So I believe when it's polling and updating, it goes up to the Latitude servers. When I do this, it brings it down from the Latitude servers. So it's not storing its own. That's why we stopped off at the London Eye for a little while. So it's not storing all itself. You need to make sure that Latitude, anything you want to use in Latify is selected as an option in Latitude, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just thought this was kind of interesting. I think this is where we got lost. So anyway, you don't want to watch my map of bouncing around. What else have we got? I don't so much know about all this fusion stuff, to be honest. Satellite view, as you would in Google Maps, just brings the satellite view in. Preferences, auto sync offline records, show polling notifications, so you can have something in the bar saying how often it's polling. Do you want the accuracy circle to show the big blue circle or whatever? Fairly standard stuff. The only other thing to show you, I suppose, you can get rid of these bars top and bottom by pressing the arrows. The arrows stay there, so you can pop them back out again. The other thing to show you is the widgets. So there's 3 different widget options. Latify address was that one I just showed you, where it basically just says where Latify thinks you are at the moment. Latify polling interval. So it's just a little icon that says every 30 minutes it's polling your position, and you can tap it to change it to to whatever you want, which is quite useful. And then the final one is the profiles. So there they are, the three profiles I've shown you: driving, homework, travelling. You just tap whichever and it switches to whichever one. So that's it, Latify. It's not free, but it's only £1.76 in the market, and personally I think it's well worth it, because it will increase your battery life, basically. Simple as that. Latitude does take quite a lot of battery power. Latify gives you control over Latitude. To be honest, it's control you would have thought they should have given you in Latitude, but maybe they want everything stock standard kind of thing. But yeah, Latify, fantastic app for giving you total control of what Latitude does, really. In fact, there is one thing I've not really looked at. You can tell it yourself, oh, I was here, and sync that to the Latitude servers. I'll be honest, I've not really looked at that and how it works. But there you go. Let's see if I can get you the QR code. That's Latify, £1.76. Highly recommended. My name's Andy, HomeAjoys.net.